Alright guys, so we're back with another session. I'm joined today with Mr. Josh Prasuto, a friend of mine, client of mine as well. That said, I only manage his diet and supplementation right now, so the goal for today is to take him through one of my sessions that's going to be a little bit different to what he's typically used to. So for today, we have a chest bias push day. So really what that means is that our first main big movement is going to be a chest press. So for today, that's going to be the hammer strength incline. From there, we're going to move to a Smith overhead, a cable fly, a tricep press, and then we'll round the session out with some accessories. But we're going to get stuck in. We'll take you along for the ride. Let's get started. If you look at where a lot of people fail when they're pressing, they're either going to fail at their shoulder, what I'm talking technically, or their rib cage is going to flare. They're going to be back here, which is not a strong place to be. So when we counter that with this, going into flexion, it's bringing our abs into play so that we're going to be able to better call on those to hold position when we go into the incline press followings.
The spine movement was solid.
You're going to feel a lot more, right? Yeah.
100% gonna run into my body weight problem.
Okay, so the issue we run into when we're setting up on a piece like this hammer strength, but really this carries over to a lot of different chest pressing or shoulder pressing machines, is that I can't actually adjust where these handles sit in horizontal space relevant to this back pad. And obviously we know not everyone's built the same, not everyone's mobility is the same. So for me, I can't actually set up under these handles without actually lifting them off, which doesn't really give me an opportunity to set up where I typically want to set up before initiating that first hard rep. So for me to combat that, I either have to come lift off one at a time, or I have to drop into it, but neither of those, like I said, really allows me to set up before being under load. So what I do is I will take something like a yoga block and put them under the stopper to create that lateral space, or now allow me to adjust where these handles sit, which then allows me to set up the way I would want to set up before actually being under load. So it's giving me that space. From here, I can set up and initiate that first hard rep without having to set up under load. The other thing setting up with this is we have to think about the direction that this load is acting on us. So for me, this load is pressing back and slightly down. So to create a counterforce to that, I want to have my feet slightly in front of my knees, pushing me back into the pad. That's in opposition to the way that the load is acting on me, right? So you have to remember, every movement is a full body movement when we think about the way we set up. So I'm going to plant my feet, I'm going to push myself back, I'm going to have those spacers in to allow myself to set up, and that's going to give you the best opportunity to produce the most amount of force possible. We're going to go 2 top sets of 6 to 8, and then a down set that's still going to be pretty low reps, 10 to 12. So we'll do feeders. I'm going to be a little over 4 plates. So I'll go 2, 3, 4, and then I'll go working. You haven't been doing this every week, so just start at a plate, take every set, just feel things out, and then make a judgment call on what your first work set is. would suggest you do, pick a spot somewhere in front of us, on this machine, on that wall, fixate on it. Because your head's moving like this, and the last thing we want is your chest to drop and your shoulders to round. Which this machine, if we don't set up right, makes it very easy to do that. So, abolish 35s. I refuse. I have extenders, I just didn't break them. So I think I said this in the last video, but BFR straps are a meathead's duct tape, as you can see. Yeah, it's all relative, right? Pull those shoulders down, there you go. Good. Breathe. Stand. Breathe. Hard. Yes. Good. Go right through. Drop. Yep. Awesome. You're here. Don't just set up straight. You could shift your butt slightly forward in the seat, and from here, so you kind of go like this, try and get under the handles a bit more, right? So you're not flaring your ribcage, but you are making your chest a little more proud, bringing your sternum up a bit, and dropping your shoulders and your elbows so you're actually under the handles. Because remember, if you set up like this, the handles aren't going straight forward, they're going up. So try and line everything up with where you're actually taking it. Okay? Take a straight line. Yeah. There it is. Good. Good. Come on, hard. Yes. Yes. Again. Up. Good. You. Hard. Yes. Yes. Again. One more. Hard. And slow down. You might notice that we're doing an overhead press, but we're actually at a high incline with the bench, and the bench is not at a perfect 90 degrees like you would typically see when guys are doing work overhead. The reason for that is when we're pressing overhead, what we want to do is we want to get into a position where our wrists are stacked over our elbows. The issue with that is most people don't have the external rotation that you would need to get there when you're fully up at 90 degrees. Most of our active ranges are a little short of that. So let's say, for example, I'm actually most comfortable here. The incline compensates for that, and now when I'm at the high incline, my wrist is actually stacked over my elbow.
I can't do 90-degree press.
feel like I'm like 99% of people can't, right? What we talked about in the beginning. We don't want to be in that position where we're flaring our ribcage like crazy. Typically, that's what we need to do. So instead of creating that arc with our bodies, well, let's just stack the ribcage over the pelvis where we want it to be and just lean the whole thing back slightly on the bench. So, okay, hop in. Good. Stay with me. Good. Stay in it. You got more. You got more. You got more. Again. Yep. Again. Yes. Good. Good. Drive hard into the ground. Drive. Yes. When you're gripping the bar to unwrap, keep in mind that that bar rotates. So compensate a little the other way. So when you unrack, ideally you want your knuckles up to the sky. Do a high to low cable fly. So, step this in front of the pulley. Okay? And then you're gonna keep your elbows relatively close to your torso. You can bend your elbows slightly as you come to the top. Keep your chest tall. And then drive down. Doesn't matter where your hands finish. Just get your elbows close to in line with your shoulders, just in front of you. Make sense? Pulls you to the top, let it pull your shoulders up. Now drive your shoulders down, keep your chest. No, don't cave your chest. Proud chest. There. Good. Good. Let it pull everything up into elevation, then drive everything down. Keep your chest proud. And finish with straight arms. Better. Good. Now go back to where you just finished. There. Good. Chest proud, chest proud. Shoulders down. Good. Good. How's that feel? Yeah? Yeah. I mean, keep traction with the straight arm. Well, yeah, because your pec doesn't do anything past your elbow, right? Your pec controls your upper arm as it adducts into midline. So as long as you're moving your elbow in as close as possible, that's where you want to be.
Feels like a nice combination of like a hard press and a fly. You're driving.
Yeah, it's not.
And then you're
like
kind of
straight fly.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Because in fact, what I was going to say is usually when you bring your hands together, what happens to my elbows? They come out a little bit, which is the opposite of what we want. So this doesn't matter. You just want to drive your upper arm or your bicep into your pec. So here, okay? Some people look at that and think it's an incomplete rep, but they are just not initiated. better?
Felt good.
We're gonna use this for a tricep press in place of a close grip on the Smith, okay? This kind of inherently loads the triceps a ton anyways, so the only difference we're gonna do is bring our grip in slightly and tuck our elbows to match. So horizontally, our wrists and our elbows are stacked. I've been jumping back and forth between this and the Smith, but we'll jump in this today, so I'll take through. As if you're about to overhead press, so the same kind of setup. Then as I press up, I'm trying to create that distance. I don't want my shoulder up here, I want my shoulder set down, okay? And I want to lock this in wherever that feels comfortable. So for me, I can get it pretty far overhead.
Yeah.
If for you, if it's more comfortable flared out a bit, all you do is step to the side to try and get that cable angle to match the angle of your upper arm. And in this case, so let's say I was more comfortable here, I'd be pressing out. See what I mean? So I wouldn't be trying to press up and force myself into a position that my shoulder isn't happy. So you're having shoulder issues. So flare your elbow out a bit more, step out to the side. So here the cable angle's relatively parallel to my upper arm, and then you're just gonna press out a little more. Okay? It's gonna be less hard. This is going to be a low cable bicep curl that challenges the shortened. The shortened is basically fully contracted, okay, in Homer Simpson terms. So, if I were to tell you that whenever this cable is going to be perpendicular or as close to 90 degrees with whatever joint I'm working as possible, that's when it's going to be the hardest. Okay, so if you see me work through this, where's the movement going to be the hardest? Here, right? So it's the hardest in the shortened, drops off as I move into the stretch, therefore we're biasing the shortened. Does that make sense? Now you know. Okay? straight. Okay, straighten your arms. Lower your legs just a little bit so it's not rubbing the table. Okay, so drive them up in front of you like you're making a Y. Keep your arms straight. Yeah, straight arms. Good. Yeah. Good. Credit where credit is due. This is a Glofism, as in I took this from my coach, Nick Gloff, who helps me put all these programs together. So credit where it's due. This wasn't me, but thank you, Mr. Gloff. Two things for you. One, keep your arms a little straighter. Two, your shoulder blades are moving too much. So with anything that's rear delt, whether it's a pull down, a row, or a fly, we typically want to keep our scaps, our shoulder blades, locked into a singular position as best we can. The reason for that, as soon as those start moving, a bunch of other musculature in our back gets involved, right? There's a lot of different muscles in and around the rear delt. All of them want to take part to make whatever we're doing easier. So the best way to actually isolate, or rather bias the rear delt, is to lock the shoulder blades in place so that everything else that wants to come in is less likely to, because they're kind of inhibited because a lot of their jump rolls actually move on the shoulder blade. So for you, I retract, slightly elevate, and lock them here. Because if you look at you from the back, you're kind of doing this. Yeah. Whereas you rather want to be here and then just fly from there. Does that make sense? Up a bit. Lock them in place. Straighten your arms out a bit more. Better. Lift your pinky slightly, and then you see how everything's lined up now? Yeah. And then you're just driving your whole arm in the same angle as that pulley. So down, here. Does that make sense for next time? And then with the slightly straighter arm. Because otherwise you end up here, you're like doing one of these, whereas you want to be there. Okay? Makes sense? Ready? Alright guys, so that's a wrap on my second YouTube video, push day. Josh, what did you think?
Solid workout. Lots of little tweaks I wouldn't have thought about. Small angles, hand positioning. So my shoulders are murked.
There there you go. We will definitely be getting more sessions in, so stay tuned for the next one. That's a wrap.